going on, guys? Welcome to Garage 23. Today we're working on our 1990 Pathfinder project, and it's gonna be a jam-packed episode today. We're gonna try and cram as much little tiny jobs that this thing needs into one episode, from replacing taillights to installing a coolant reservoir to maybe even washing it if we're lucky. So let's get started. All right, so first order of business is to sit on my brand new stool. Thanks, Mom. So I think we're gonna start at the front here because it looks like it got punched in the face. The headlights just kind of flop around and do whatever they want, and that's not great for visibility at night. Rather than get new headlights, I think I can fix these. So we're gonna give that a shot. Also, there's a lack of turn signals here. So let's get started by tearing this front end apart. That was easy. Yeah. And there should be a couple bolts on the side for the bumper. Okay, first step, while we have easy access to the back of the headlight, is we're gonna install our brand new LED headlight bulbs. I got these off Amazon. They're about 45 bucks. So let's get these on. When you install headlight bulbs, you usually want to try not to touch the bulb part of it, but LEDs are a little different. Like, most of this is just metal, or plastic, I'm not sure. But mainly just don't touch the actual LEDs themselves, because your greasy mitts might mess up the LEDs over time. That easy. Okay, now to fix the floppiness of the headlights. For most older vehicles, they use sealed beam kind of headlight, have this kind of like adjustment screw thing, and there's supposed to be like a plastic clip in the headlight that holds it onto this screw basically. There's one that's still not broken on that side, but usually over time they break, and they don't really sell them separately, not for a Nissan anyway. I think I've seen some online for like Chevys and stuff, but we're not that fortunate. So I think we can use a very traditional method to fix this. Ta-da! Nani? Good old zip ties to the rescue. So what I'm thinking is if I put one zip tie around the screw itself, and then another one through that zip tie, and then through the headlight, this should let us hold it in place. Yeah. And we should even still be able to adjust the screw to align the headlight, so that's a big plus. Now for the other one. All right. All right, now for our new grille. And this just has a couple little spots on the bottom that it slides into. We picked this up from our local junkyard, like most stuff. Again, I think this is supposed to have some kind of clips there, but this is a low budget project, so we're just gonna use zip ties. Okay, now while we got our engine bay open, we've been missing a little something here for a while, and this isn't good because I think your car can actually overheat eventually if you don't have a coolant reservoir, because I think this can introduce air over time. So yeah, you need the coolant reservoir. Amazon actually happens to carry the one for this Pathfinder. It's like 30 bucks, pretty quick shipping, so can't go wrong with that. But if they don't happen to make a specific one for your vehicle, you can also get like generic ones. And even on my old 240, I just used the Mountain Dew bottle. So you can use whatever you want, as long as there's a container with fluid in it. And this is just held in with 3 bolts, one on the bottom, 2 on the sides. And your hose just connects to your radiator. It even has this little clamp on it, but this is what I get for buying a cheap radiator. This barb on the radiator literally has no room for, it barely even has room for the hose itself. Like, I don't know what they expected you to do there, but that's about as much hose as we can get on there. So that's gonna have to work, because the clamp just isn't gonna fit there. Wank. Which is fine, it's not like this line's under pressure or anything. It just needs to not leak out. But, oh well. Now we just fill this up with coolant. Should be good to go on that. All right, so now we just put some coolant in our bottle. And just try not to go past the maximum line. Next thing we gotta do is replace our turn signal plug, apparently. Probably should have grabbed this at the junkyard too, but I forgot about it. So let's see if we can go find one of these on our parts car. That's not it. Yeah, there we go. Ta-da. Okay, so we don't have a replacement for this yet, and I kind of want to try and just see if I can fix it, or at least straighten it out first. So to do that, BFH. That's probably as good as that's gonna get. So let's try to put it back on. Okay. Not bad. We have to replace this door handle because our buddy Joey ripped it off like the freaking Hulk that he is. Okay, so we need to get this door panel off, and it's already not in the greatest shape. So we're probably gonna break a lot of stuff in the process. But first, you gotta take this little nub off here. And then this trim for the door handle should just pry off. Yeah. And there's a screw in the door handle here. And this should slide back. See, slides and then out. This is definitely broken. So there's supposed to be 3 screws under here, but there's only 2. They're obviously not holding the door handle anymore, but they're still holding the door panel to the door, so we still gotta take them off. This switch should pry up from the front here. Yeah. Like that. Then there should just be clips holding the rest of it on around the perimeter. Okay, now once we have all the clips popped off, we should be able to just kind of lift and slide upward.
Oh my God!
Ta-da! And now we're gonna destroy this plastic barrier because there's no way we're gonna unstick this without it breaking everywhere. Yeah. It's literally falling apart. This is to keep like moisture or something out of the cabin. If yours happens to not fall apart, don't try and glue this back together with like RTV or silicone of some kind, because then you'll never get it back off. And ask me how I know. There's like a specific kind of glue you're supposed to use for this. It like never dries, as you can tell. There's a little flappy flap here. Secret tunnels. Secret tunnel! Secret tunnel! And that'll let us get to the 10mm bolt on the back of the door handle. And then there's another one that you can get through from this side. And pretty much the only thing holding the door handle on, but there's a little rod that is what actuates the actual mechanism. So that might be a pain in the ass. 1. And 2. There's what's left of our door handle. This is the rod that the door handle attaches to. And this is what usually causes all the headaches for people, because it's usually this little blue clip that gets messed up over time. It will break, and then there's nothing holding this rod to the door handle anymore. And that's when your door handle will stop working. And then that's usually when you break the door handle, because you keep pulling it and nothing happens. So you pull it harder and then nothing still happens, and then you break it off. So, but in this case, the little clip is still fine. Okay, and here's our new door handle, which comes with the new one of those clips. And we're just gonna fold this and put our rod back in here, just like that. But we don't want to install this in here quite yet, because then that's going to complicate trying to put everything back together. So we're going to hold off on that, but we can put our door handle in place first. Ta-da. Now we just got to put the little rod back in place. But before we do that, I'm just going to clean this up because it's pretty dusty and gross. I don't know if I have any grease, but ideally you should grease this part, because this is kind of a wear item on the hinge or on the latch mechanism. So I'm gonna try and find some grease and then we'll put this back together. All right, so I didn't find any grease, but I found some silicone spray. It's probably better than nothing. So I'm just gonna give that a shot. It's gotta be better than that, so. And we're gonna try and spray some, there's like a little like cup thingy in there where this goes. So we're gonna just try and aim it in there. And then basically we're just gonna put this end in the little cup, and then we can try and like clip this into the new door handle. I also don't have a whole lot of faith in these door handles, because we got these off Amazon, of course, also. And they're like 15 bucks. So if they only last a week, yeah, it was about 15 bucks worth. So doesn't help that I can't see anything in here. Gotta use your imagination. I think I got it. Nope, don't got it. Yeah! Success. Now let's put all this back. Next up, actually while we're in here, we can put in our brand new, used, old, crusty center console that's at least not broken. So we can rip this guy out. Yeah. Another cool little feature about this here Pathfinder is it actually came with active suspension. Kind of like the GTR has, the new GTR has like suspension settings. This one had, you can see, oh, it's upside down. You can see sport and touring. And actually when you press this, you could hear something in the truck move, but I'm pretty sure all the shocks are blown anyway, so it made like no difference to how it rode. It was still a bouncy piece of crap. But it's pretty interesting that this was technology that they developed in like the 80s.
We could be the first family to race from Paris to Africa. Quit our jobs, pulling kids out of school. Yeah, maybe not.
All right, so this one's obviously missing a couple switches there. So we're just gonna put these back in here, even though they don't really do anything. Gonna put this guy right there. Gonna put this blank one right there, and this fancy active suspension one right there. And that's actually the only one that actually had a plug. The other hatch thingy, there isn't even a plug down here, so I don't know if they just grabbed that off something else to fill the spot or what. Just gonna plug it in. And there's 2 screws here. And then there's 2 more screws that go inside the center console here. I got this center console for like 40 bucks, which is a little steep, but again, pull and save kind of charges whatever the hell they want, and I can't really find one of these anywhere else online, so oh well. All right, now we got somewhere to put our drinks. There's little cup holders in here. Down. And enough center console space to put whatever you want in there. It's a whole spray can. All right. And yeah, I know that there's a little cover missing here. I apparently dropped it when I was leaving the junkyard, and it's gonna be a while till we find another one of those, so yes. All right, now one of the biggest headaches with this thing is that the fuel gauge doesn't work. And I checked the connector for the fuel pump and it seems fine, so I think either the sending unit itself is messed up or corroded or just old or just completely broken. So we're just gonna take the whole fuel pump out and see what's wrong with it, and most likely just replace it. Yeah, I mean, we're just gonna replace it. We already got a replacement from the junkyard, so that's what we're gonna do. All right, we got the return off. Now we need to take the feed line off, and that one's probably gonna spray a bit more. Or not. Okay. So it's both of our fuel lines off, the feed and the return. I'm gonna check if these are easy to get to from under the car and see if we can just replace these while we're here, because they look pretty gross. Oh, we need to disconnect this plug from under here. Easiest fuel pump plug ever. Yeah, it looks pretty gross. Okay, so I'm gonna guess this doesn't work because it's probably too corroded. And there's a clamp holding the strainer on. The strainer looks pretty gross too. Inside the tank doesn't look great either. Good soup. Kind of trying to be careful and not knock any dirt and dust in there, but I mean, there's already a small sandcastle in there, so whatever. All right, and this is our new unit, new used unit. This was from a 95, so it looks phenomenal, honestly, for being from 95. And I also already tested this. I just plugged it in and messed with the fuel level sensor, and it did make the gauge move up there. So now we know that the gauge does work. It was just the sensor that was messed up on the other one. And also this fuel pump made a good amount of noise, like good sounding noise. So should be good too. Okay, now we can put our new-ish fuel pump back in. Carefully. Yeah, I think that's it. Ta-da! Now I just need to replace the fuel line and we'll be done with this part. Okay, now we got the correct size fuel line. So we're gonna replace these crusty old bits with some nice new ones. Because if one of these breaks, you're gonna leak out all your gas and be stuck on the side of the road and potentially be a fire hazard.
At least things can't get any worse.
My 13 did that. Wasn't fun. I'm also replacing the clamps with the best clamps that you can get for fuel line. I'm only using that on the feed line though, because that's the one that's under high pressure. It's like 30 plus PSI. The return hose, you can just use regular like springy clamps, because the return line's not really under any pressure. Not 30 PSI worth at least. And pretty sure this was our feed and that was our return. If we put everything back together and it doesn't run, then we probably have this backwards. This is never not a pain in the butt. All right, that should be good. Now to cut it to length and connect the other side to the hard line on the body, and then we'll use the rest for the return line. All right, now we're gonna cycle the Q a few times to let the system build pressure and make sure we don't have any leaks on top and under the fuel tank. And it looks like we're good. So let's give her a crank and see if she still starts.
頑張れ先輩頑張れ頑張れ先輩
Success. Now I'll just cover this back up like nothing ever happened. Next thing up on the list is getting rid of these beat up taillights. This one's got a few cracks on the side here. The front of it isn't too bad. This other one though got a little chunk missing. So, and also the plug behind this one is like broken off, which is the main reason our turn signal doesn't work on this side, because I tried just replacing the bulb and the whole thing back there is messed up. So we just need to replace it all together. All right, and to remove the taillight, it's just an 8mm socket and 3 bolts from behind the little panel here. They're just kind of tricky to even see, so just take your time. It's slightly shinier. not broken. I think it's really heavy. Let's see if our taillights work. Ta-da! Ta-da! Fully working taillights. Actually, let me check the reverse still. No? No?
Nothing. Oh. Ew.
Reverse lights. Yes. All right, that's almost everything on our list for today. It's getting late and I think we're gonna call it a night for today. So thanks for joining us. Hope you guys learned something from each of these little jobs. One of them is bound to be something you need to do to your car. So hope that helps you guys. And as always, do your best.
できなかった人はちゃんと復習するようにね。
This is a low bruh. This is a low bruh. Bruh. Kind of trying not. All right, next thing up on the list is cannot speak today.